Introducing Oakley Meta Vanguard, the new performance AI glasses designed for athletes. With hands-free capture on an action-ready ultra-wide camera, powerful open-ear speakers, and built-in Meta AI that syncs with your Garmin devices for real-time insights while you train. Take your performance to the next level with Oakley Meta Vanguard. Athletic intelligence is here. Learn more on meta.com.
So good, so good, so good.
Score holiday gifts everyone wants for way less at your Nordstrom Rack store. Save on UGG, Nike, Rag & Bone, Vince, Frame, Kurt Geiger London, and more.
Because there's always something new.
I'm giving all the gifts this year with that extra 5% off when I use my Nordstrom credit card. Santa who?
Join the Nordy Club at Nordstrom Rack to unlock our best deals. It's easy. Big gifts, big perks. That's why you rack.
This episode is brought to you by Rum Chata, a delicious creamy blend of horchata with rum. It's best enjoyed over ice or in your coffee. Rum Chata, delivering vacation vibes any way or anywhere you drink it. Find out more at rumchata.com. Drink responsibly. Caribbean rum with real dairy cream, natural and artificial flavors. Alcohol 13.75% by volume, 27.5 proof. Copyright 2025, Agave Loco Brands, Pewaukee, Wisconsin. All rights reserved.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion with me, your host, Stephen Wallis. As the first test at the Optus Stadium in Perth draws near, excitement is building, and one group guaranteed to make plenty of noise throughout the series are, of course, the Barmy Army. Today I'm joined by their founder and chairman, Paul Burnham. Paul shares the story behind the Barmy Army, how they were formed in the mid-1990s, the origins of their famous name, and the passion that drives them to inspire the England team wherever they play. With the Barmy Army set to be out in force at Perth, Brisbane, Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney, Paul also tells us about the huge demand to be part of this extra special Ashes series. And before we finish, he gives his thoughts on the cricket itself, naming his player of the series and offering his prediction for the final result. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion, the founder and chairman of the Barmy Army.
Correct. Yeah, that's me. I'm still here.
And you're much more than that now. The Barmy Army has sort of expanded, hasn't it?
It has. Well, I mean, it's got bigger naturally. Clearly, when it started in 94-5, there was a few hundred of us, and it was something that me in particular wanted to carry on to South Africa the next trip. And then, before you know it, 25 years was under the belt of me going on every tour, more or less. Missed the odd white ball tour, but certainly didn't miss much of the Test cricket. Maybe didn't go to, I went to Pakistan once, missed maybe one of those tours, and missed Bangladesh once and India a couple of times. But other than that, I pretty much a full house of going to watch England, particularly the Red Bull overseas, and building the Barmy Army. It's really a lifestyle business, to be honest. But, as that lifestyle business sort of unfolded, what came along with it was lots of friends and contacts and cricket lovers, and with websites and the modern world for digital technology and collecting data, that's where we are now. A very big operation where everybody's heard of the name. Certainly in cricket, it's even in the Oxford Dictionary.
Well, thanks for that. In this episode, we're going to find out how the Barmy Army started, about the relationship with the England players, hear from a special guest, and much more. But to start with, how did it all start? Most of us think of Atherton's tour of 94-95, which you were on.
Yeah, I mean, that's when it did start. I mean, I went there personally. Everyone had a different reason to be in there. There was quite a few guys that were there because England didn't qualify for the Football World Cup. And I think they got some brownie points, girls and boys, to be fair, from their other half or their husband or wife or whatever. So there was a lot of guys that were meant to be going to America to watch the football that ended up on the Ashes tour. And then there was always, people backpacking, people just getting away from England. The tick box of going to Australia is certainly there, and tying it in watching an Ashes series. So lots of individual people there for individual reasons. we got thrown together probably most famously at Sydney, the third test. There was pockets of noise in Brisbane and Melbourne, but really the Sydney Hill thrown together in Sydney. We actually got a draw there. And although we lost the Ashes because we then couldn't win with 2 tests remaining, we did feel that we marched off to Adelaide as a group. When we got to Adelaide, it was even more conducive to getting everyone together because of the famous Adelaide Hill. So the Barmy Army were on the famous Adelaide Hill for that whole test match. The key merchandise with our map of Australia and the Barmy Army on the front of the shirt was all done day 2, day 3 of Adelaide. So we had an identity. And then England won that test match famously, and all the boys, the players were as happy as the fans, particularly the fans that had been there for the first 3 tests. And the celebrations famously in Adelaide in various venues there, and Hindley Street was where the T-shirt started, and that really sparked it all off. Adelaide, that test match, Phil Tufnell catching the ball on the boundary, and Devon Malcolm bowling well, and Louis bowling well, and it was just a great team performance, that test match. And we felt very much part of that team, and they came over to us, celebrated with the Barmy Army, and wanted to know where we were that night. Everyone came out, obviously, other than Atherton, but certainly Alex Stewart led everybody down to find where the Barmy Army were, joined in with the singing, and we had a great time celebrating with the boys that we've been cheering on, even though the results on the pitch were very deflating at times. But the great thing right from the word go is what we've realised is that we, as Brits abroad and as Brits in general, we can sing, we can make some noise, and it can be funny and proactive. The Aussies can't. They squeak like a load of St. Trinian schoolgirls, and it gets worse each time you go, which I think is absolutely brilliant. So you're guaranteed winning the song contest. The challenge is, and it hasn't happened very often, 10-11 was the last time, and even then we got stuffed in Perth and only just got a draw in Brisbane. But when that happens, it does make it a little bit awkward because we're going to win the song contest and the cricket, and the Aussies will probably end up going down the beach again like they did in Melbourne back in 2010.
Well, there's plenty there to chew on, Paul. The first thing I want to ask you is, how did the name come about?
Well, the name was, I mean, there's conflict in how it started, right? Not conflict, but there's different versions of how it started. Barmy, because there was we were supporting the England cricket team, and Army because there was a lot of us is what I think it is. But there was also a chant, Barmy Army, which was a bit of a football chant, which was sort of thrown at the opposition fans when things were getting a bit heated on the pitch. So the name Barmy Army was already a chant. The Aussies called us the Barmy Army because we were, so I guess they heard the chant, presumed that was our name, and they thought, well, there's a lot of them, so hence Army, and they're Barmy supporting this England team, so hence the Barmy Army. So the Aussies immediately turned it into almost a term of endearment towards us.
They're going to love you, my listeners in Australia, calling them St. Trinians.
Well, there's worse insults.
You've mentioned it already about the development. It wasn't all smooth sailing, though, wasn't it?
No, it hasn't been. I mean, it was a lifestyle business for me very much in the early years. As soon as you touch travel, as we did in 2002-03, we took a limited tour to Australia, and then we went for it big time in 06-07, and on the back of the 05 win, where we obviously hadn't won the Ashes for so long, that was a massive catalyst for England, and lots of people wanted to go out and watch Super Fred's Barmy Army in Australia, and unfortunately we worked with the wrong travel partners. We've learnt a lot, but we tried to run it on too tight margins because we just wanted to undercut everybody and get everybody to come with the Barmy Army. So yeah, we learnt some pretty heavy business lessons, and I certainly did. And yeah, we've built on the back of that. We then started working with a well-known company called Gulliver's, and we work with Destination Sports Group now. So we've decided that, travel is specialist, that we shouldn't have tried to run it ourselves, and that you need the professionalism to be the back end. And that's exactly what we've got now, and we had from the 10-11 tour, to be fair. So, yeah, we've had issues going through with regards to the travel element, but I think everything else has always been pretty good, right? We support the England cricket team. We make up fun songs. We support them come what may. There's no negativity, sack the manager, sack the captain. It's not like the football. It's cricket is very much, well, certainly the Barmy Army is very much pro team. We give them 100%. All we expect back is 100% from them. So that bit's been pretty much a smooth ride. I guess the commercialism, particularly the travel, was difficult when it started. But now, I think we are the cheapest on the market. And some people do just want to go out. They want to be able to ring a number or go online, pay a bit extra, but have somebody tell them what their itinerary is. There's plenty of scope for people to do it individually. And they can definitely still be part of the Barmy Army. But we realised, back in 2002-3, there was a gap in the market for a much less regimented way of travelling. And coming with the Barmy Army Travel Group says, it gave you what was on the tin, basically. You're travelling with the main people and you're going to be proactive, probably not, just sitting around watching the cricket. If you're with the Barmy Army, you are going to be expected to make some noise and sing some songs and enjoy yourself, supporting the best game in the world, in the best tournament in the world, which is the Ashes. Let's be honest.
You certainly do all those things, and before you went in 1994-95 yourself and a few backpackers, England supporters in Ashes series abroad, was it just a select few?
I still think there were big numbers, Ashes. I mean, I do remember the ones to Barbados and the Caribbean in the early 90s when Stewie got his 200s in Barbados, I think it was. But there were lots of people. And actually, when I first saw the 93 final when England lost to Pakistan, hearing all the Victorians supporting Pakistan made me a bit curious of what was going on. And I know that tour earlier in that year, England played New Zealand in a Red Bull tour in 93, and there were loads of fans. In fact, the guys that were on that trip quite often, normally in jest, sometimes a little bit more seriously, say we were the guys that started it all in 93. But, whether it started in 93 or 94, the point is there's been, literally thousands and thousands of Brits supporting England, in my opinion, in exactly the way you should do it. And that started back in the early 90s. So we certainly weren't the first guys to have that thought. As I said, I think that the factors I mentioned to you earlier, that England not qualifying for the Football World Cup probably got a few more fans there than a normal cricket tour. The Ashes alone is a tick box for people. Going to Australia, the backpacking element, the amazing things you can do in Australia. I mean, we are brothers in arms. We want to beat Australia more than anything on the pitch, but I've always found they love the Barmy Army and we like them, unless we're in the ground, in which case it's full on, right? Trying to get a wicket through our noise and getting the boys fired up. But it is a great place to go, and generally speaking, the Aussies and the Brits get on well. Let's be honest, we're cut on the same cloth in so many ways.
You've highlighted something very important there, and the Barmy Army is very good at that. Behaviour of the members of the Barmy Army is absolutely imperative and important.
Yeah, I mean, you try and set a tone with it. I mean, we've all had yellow cards in the past, and but the ultimate thing is, if you lose a wicket, sing loud. Anyone can sing when they're winning. So we're very much let's get behind the boys, and I think the Aussies have struggled to understand that because they haven't got the football culture, right? There is football in Australia, but let's be honest, their main winter sport, if you like, is Aussie rules and the two formats of rugby. So, and I think they're pretty blown away when the British Lions turn up as well, because the British way of supporting ultimately comes from the football, and we like to think the cricket, we just tone it down a little bit. We try not to have the swearing element of it. We've got plenty of time to think about the songs because it goes on. Test matches obviously go on for a long time, and the series is months. So, not unlike a football game where you've got 90 minutes to be a bit spontaneous, we've got plenty of time to sit there and say, well, let's write a Ben Duckett song. Let's write whoever it is, Chris Tremlett song back in the day. Whoever it might be. Normally, there's loads of ideas bang around, and you have the balls to stand up and try and sing it in front of 90,000 people in Melbourne. Hopefully it goes well for you and people join in. So it's good fun, and it's all done in the right spirit. And to be fair, it's done to try and maximise the support for the England cricket team. We feel if we can get one wicket, because Matthew Hoggard, for example, said, "Blimey, it was brilliant when you got me fired up. I didn't have any energy, and then you put a couple of yards of pace on me, and I got a wicket." You can sort of claim that as a bit of a Barmy Army wicket, and that's pretty special in the crowd to be able to do that. And over the 25 years that I was active and the 30 years that Barmy Army's been around, there's been loads of Barmy Army wickets, loads of them, and that alone is the end of an argument I might have with a traditional MCC member who will criticise Barmy Army for X, Y, and Z, and you end up getting quite heated. But then I always say, ultimately, the players love it, we love it, and sometimes it can get us a wicket. So we're not that good a team that can turn down the odd wicket that comes from the crowd support.
We're certainly not, especially in Australia. Are you surprised now how big the Barmy Army has become a major travel company? You've raised over 500,000 for charity. You've got a Barmy Army cricket club. There's so many things you do.
Yeah, we've got a Colts team, and the charitable stuff's something we've always done. It's always made sense, to be fair, that we should give something back, as opposed to paying for a lot of the guys that organise its trip. They do. Everybody works hard, but there's always been a little element of jealousy, I guess, out there for people that don't understand exactly what we're trying to do. This is not some couple of rich boys just going out and partying on everybody else's money. There's a genuine story behind it that when people bother to listen to it, realise it's quite the opposite to that, and that people have put a lot of time and energy and effort and money over the years into building the brand. So I'm not surprised, because the people that have been part of helping it be built, and I'm certainly one of those, but I'll never be one to say it's only me, by any stretch of the imagination. There's been hundreds of people that have got stuck in over the years to help this brand become what it is. Literally too many to mention, and the danger of mentioning one means you forget someone else. So there is literally thousands of people that all believe in the same thing, which is that we can make a difference, that we should support the England cricket team 100%. We should sing some songs. And we should wait till someone from the opposition manages to do the same back. And we're still waiting, which is great.
Is there a typical Barmy Army member?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Matt has to be a cricket lover. I mean, quite why people say the Barmy Army are, football fans, when people spend thousands of pounds to go away in the middle of the football season to watch cricket overseas. But anyway, is there a typical Barmy? Yeah, they must love their cricket. A typical member will be someone that watches the county game probably as well, or certainly has a county back at home. And the pinnacle of their summer, if they like, or sorry, not their summer, their winter normally, and their holiday is 2 weeks to go and watch England. So that's your typical Barmy Army fan, someone that saves their annual leave to go and watch England abroad, likes to catch up and watch and follows England at home, and probably a county at home, but definitely a traveller, and definitely that someone that is addicted to, watching England abroad. But it is very, very addictive, trust me.
But it's male, female, young and old, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, there's plenty of ladies in the Barmy Army, plenty of married couples that will come out, plenty of independent people, boys, girls that come out by themselves and catch up with people, families and kids, particularly on some of the bigger tours like Australia and South Africa and the Caribbean, where there's a nice family element to it. And what you do find quite often with the partner that isn't into cricket, let's say that there's a married couple and they're both into cricket, that's different. But if there's that married couple and one of them's into cricket and the other one isn't, the number of times the one that wasn't suddenly becomes really into it, that's happened literally hundreds of times, which is always lovely to hear. And someone comes up and goes, you know what, I've hated cricket watching it on the TV. I've come out with my husband or I've come out with my wife, and now I love it. When's the next tour? And that always makes you feel good.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
Hello, friends. Guess who? That's right. It is I, the Replacer. Once again, I've been called on so you can play the new Call of Duty, Black Ops 7, with 3 expansive modes, 18 multiplayer maps, and the tastiest zombie gameplay you've ever freaking seen.
Call of Duty, Black Ops 7, available now. Rated M for mature.
Now we've mentioned it already, singing, music, great part of the Barmy Army. You first had Billy Cooper, professional musician, played for the London Symphony Orchestra. How did you come about getting Billy?
Well, Billy was around on the 2004 tour to Antigua. It was actually when Brian Lara got his 400. Someone had left, Billy had left his trumpet in a taxi. Someone picked it up. The taxi driver remembered it was an England cricket fan, I guess. Gave it to someone who brought it into the ground. And there was a couple of people within our, core of the Barmy Army on that tour, about 50 of us trying to play the trumpet. Billy came round and said, "That's my trumpet." We said, "Prove it." He proved it. Obviously, classical trumpeter in a very good way. And 5 minutes after that, he was our trumpeter from then on. We realised that there's a Barmy Army fan that can play the trumpet. Does he want to come on the next tour? And as long as we were able to find the money he would have been paid by not being on tour, he would be happy to come away and sit with the Barmy Army, play his trumpet and Jerusalem and all the other great ditties that he came up with. He was very smart, Billy, and very imaginative. He's still around. But 15 years into it, 2019, the South Africa tour, just before COVID, he's got 2 young kids now, and I think travelling away for long periods, which is what the tours are, wasn't exactly what his wife imagined from their relationship moving forward. So Billy had to gracefully retire, I guess. And now we've got a guy called Simon Finch who... the Barmy Army HQ up in Chesterfield, they put a job description out and they had lots of applicants, and Finchy was chosen from numerous other ones. Finchy's a bit more jazz. I think Billy's classical trumpet. And Finchy's a bit different, but ultimately they both play Jerusalem. They both can improvise. They both come up with songs. So they're a brilliant couple of additions to the Barmy Army, and a trumpet player connected to us hopefully will remain even long after Finchy retires, if he retires.
Billy and Simon have certainly added so much to the Barmy Army. Simon's been on my podcast 2 or 3 times. The first time in episode 244, All You Need Is Cricket and a Trumpet. And right. I'm now going to play you a short clip from Simon. How much do you enjoy working for the Barmy Army, Simon?
Oh, I love it. It's brilliant. It's dream come true, Stephen. Absolute dream come true. And it gets better and better and better. I mean, I've just completed my 5th summer in the gig, and this winter's going to be the ultimate. And I get to go to Sri Lanka after, because I've never been to Sri Lanka before with the Barmy Army. So there's just new horizons everywhere. Love it. And I get to meet fantastic people everywhere I go. I get to meet these fantastic cricket fans that I would never usually speak to. People I would never meet in my usual runnings. I wouldn't do it. I usually spend time with my family, or I'm on gigs. And so I've only got these 2 kind of like gene pools that I generally sort of speak with. So I'm meeting people from all walks of life, all different points of view, difficult political persuasions, musical persuasions, outlooks on life, and there's something to learn from everybody.
Doesn't seem like work to you, does it?
Oh, it does sometimes.
Does it?
It does sometimes. Oh yeah, on a when you're at the top of the party stand and the gale's blowing in Old Trafford, and it's a gale blowing, and you're sat, and it's like there's mizzle in the air, and you just wait for some cricket to start on a Thursday afternoon. It's like, oh, this is pretty grim. But what keeps one going is knowing that there's some fantastic cricket just around the corner.
And it's going to be great on the Friday, the 21st of November, when the Ashes start.
Absolutely, mate. Fantastic.
Have you got a message then for your chairman, Paul Burnham?
Yeah. Leave me. Are you going to be in Australia, mate? I hope so. And I just want to say thank you. Oh, thanks for coming to my wedding. It was nice to see you and Alabella there. Lovely to see you both. And actually, a few of the Barmy Army attended and showed up, and that was lovely of them. And yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Paul.
You can feel how much he enjoys being the trumpeter for the Barmy Army.
That's great. He does a great job, and I said, they've both done a great job. I mean, it is tough when you're almost the one person in the ground that everyone's listening out for. I know it used to do Bill's head in because he'd play Jerusalem, and then about half an hour later, someone who'd missed it would come up and go, "Can you play Jerusalem, please, mate?" And that used to frustrate Bill, I know, a lot because he would, he wouldn't drink. And obviously, as the day goes on, people have more and more beers and become more and more pushy, maybe. So there can be days like that, but equally, he'd tell you 90% of the time was great fun with friends, singing songs, getting behind England, and Finchy will have exactly the same experience. It's nice to know that he's enjoying it and he's appreciated by everybody because it isn't something that many people can do, and he does it a little bit differently to Billy. I think he's a jazz trumpeter, and Billy's classical, I think. Well, not that I've got a musical bone in my body, but I think they're slightly different and they're different slight personalities, but ultimately they both do. Billy in the past and Finchy right now, they do an amazing job of maximising the sport for the team, getting behind the team and piping up at the right time, which they both, the timing of the pair of them has always been spot on. There's never been a time where you thought, I wish they'd stop playing. It's always been, they always stop wanting people to have more, which I guess is a showbiz expression I've heard a few times. And we certainly do that with the trumpet. We don't overdo it. We get behind the boys. And when there's a wicket needed, you'll find, I said that they've historically and currently will pipe up at the right time.
He's become a bit of a celebrity. He's always on TV now, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The cameras look for the trumpet player, and they look for the lively nature of fans. That's the same with every sport you watch on TV. They always try and pick the lively crowd or the person that stands out in fancy dress, whatever it might be. He gets on the TV a fair amount, absolutely. But I said he doesn't go for that. He goes to get behind the boys, and he's very much in the moment of trying to get fire up the bowlers in particular when they need it, particularly later on in the day. And that's the perfect storm, right? Because later in the day, you find the Barmy Army have normally had a few beers and are ready to really, pump up the volume, if you like. And at the end of the day, if we've been bowling from the morning, then that's when the players need a bit of a lift. So quite often there's been some really good combinations for the perfect storm, particularly Cape Town back in 2019 now, that last session when we got 5 wickets and Joe Root and Ben Stokes were firing up the crowd, and the noise there was pretty substantial. And in recent times, probably the best example of the Barmy Army, uniting with the England cricket team and why they're fielding and bowling and generating enough noise and energy to get wickets and win something where I think when we came out after tea, we were 6-1 to win that Test match. So, and we won it with a few overs to spare. So that was a pretty good feeling, that Cape Town experience.
And how was his wedding?
His wedding was unbelievable. I mean, the guy was playing at his wedding with various talented musicians. Thank God they didn't ask the Barmy Army to go up and do something. So yeah, he's surrounded by very musical and very cool people. So yeah, his wedding was. I said it to him the other day, and he was a bit astounded. It is the best wedding I've ever been to, without a doubt. So it was a pleasure to be there. It was extraordinary how everybody got on. The people were just lovely. His wife is Indian background, and she was great, and all her family. I mean, it was a great evening. And as I said, he was up entertaining everyone, playing in various groups. So it was an extraordinary wedding.
Good practice for him for the Ashes. He's going to be busy for 5 or 6 weeks, isn't he?
He is. He's going to be the busy man, and he'll be going from the Barmy Army core group with the travel and to the other Barmy Army independents and the great work all the home Barmies do, the Brisbane Barmies, the Adelaide Barmies, Perth Barmies, they're all there, and Melbourne and Sydney clearly even bigger numbers. So Finchy's job, if you like, is to try and make sure there's a bit of Finchy time for everybody to help them get the singing going, because whatever anybody says, the trumpet undoubtedly helps us kickstart the singing. And that doesn't mean that you need a trumpet for every chant or song, but it does mean that there's a start point for the noise, and everyone knows that when you hear his trumpet, that something's going to come from it. And obviously Jerusalem just before or just after the first ball is bowled is very much pivotal to what we do. It sort of announces us from ball one, we're here, we're singing Jerusalem, we're here supporting New England, and we're going to be here all day doing that. So I think it's a nice touch, and that will be happening every day of the Ashes. So we just need to make sure that he doesn't get he doesn't get taken away by any Aussies, kidnapped or anything. We don't want any of that.
Or lose his trumpet, or get his
Or
trumpet
lose his
damaged.
trumpet. Well, famously, Mr. Warne, God bless him, back in the day, there was a group of Aussies that thought it would be very funny under Warney's instructions to steal Billy's trumpet, and they did. But we got it back after a couple of days. Trumpet Gate, it was called. So, but yeah, hopefully he's got a spare one, and he'll have the energy to do all 5 tests, hopefully, and Sri Lanka afterwards, by the sound of it.
But sadly, you won't be there yourself.
No. I've got health issues, to be honest, with the diabetes. It's something that you can manage, and everything's fine. But another tour where I'm not doing much operationally, so therefore I'm watching the cricket. The temptation of beers and bad food and everything else is just a little bit too much. It's I've done pretty well over the years. I've nearly done every tour since '94, 5 to Australia, other than COVID last time. So I'm going to watch every ball from various places. My wife's Brazilian, so maybe over in Brazil, maybe in Portugal where her family are. Certainly, I'm lucky enough to be able to get the TNT, I guess, and I've got a big screen, so I watch it in England. Might watch it in a couple of the Barmy Army HQs in London. So yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going to watch it. What I will be doing is watching every single ball, and I'll probably see more of it, to be honest, on the TV than sometimes you do on an Ashes tour where you're, part of the working committee, if you like. It can you don't always get to see every ball, so I'm looking forward to that, and I think we've got a genuine chance of winning. I was there in 10-11, so I can remember how good that was. I won't be feeling envious. I just really want England to win. And I just know that if we do, the experiences that the thousands of British fans that are travelling there or that live in Australia already are going to have such a great time. And I just hope that's happening, 5 times. 5-0 would be amazing.
You're sounding like Glenn McGrath here. It's going to be massive though for the Barmy Army, because the last tour it was only expats, because none of us Brits could go over there because of the COVID restrictions.
Exactly. No, I mean, and they did a brilliant job last time. I mean, there's some real passion in the tour groups. Sorry, in the regional groups over in Australia. So yeah, they did an amazing job. They got the noise going. I know Joe and the team could hear them and felt that they were being supported. This will just be a different level, and that's no disrespect to the expats communities, because obviously the Brits are coming over, and they're coming over in big numbers because they couldn't come during COVID. Therefore, it's 8 years since we've been there, and the demand, which is reflected in the number of people we're taking on our tour group, the demand is so high. As I said, it's a tick box for people. I think over 50% of the people that are travelling are going to Australia for their first time, the first Barmy Army tour. So there's a lot of people that are very, very excited going for their first time, and clearly other people that can afford to go for the second time or third or fourth time even, that they're equally as excited. I think it's going to be an amazing test series. And I genuinely think, I'm not being Glenn McGrath on the English side, I genuinely think we're going to win the first 2 tests, and then it might get interesting. But I think they've been a little bit arrogant by swapping that Gabatoir first test Perth as the third test, swapping it around the way they've done it, making Brisbane the second test, pink ball, and going to a new ground in Perth and making that the first test, I think is a little bit arrogant. And I think it's going to come back to bite them, particularly in Perth, where I think our battery of 5 fast bowlers, which is what they're going to play, I'm hearing, and they're all fit. I think they need to watch out, Australia. I think they're going to go 1-0 down. And then you never know, right? The Brisbane one might be a flick of a coin with the pink ball, and we could be 2-0 up before you know it. And then the pressure will be on Australia. Let's hope that's the remit. But then the great thing about going away with the Barmy Army is even if the opposite happens, as has been proven on numerous occasions, we will still have an absolute blast in the stands supporting England, and we will win the song contest. And although winning the cricket is important, at least it won't just be, sitting there with your head in your hands. There's always something to be proud of. We're British after all.
Do you think, as Stuart Broad has said, this is the worst Australian team since 2010?
No, I don't, because I think cricket's actually got stronger. So how can it be the worst? They haven't got quite as many key characters, but I think as a team they're nicely structured. Their batting, they're saying it's weak. I think it's just unknown currently, and we get to know a lot more of them. So no, I don't agree with them at all. I think it's always a strong Australian team, and we've got every chance of getting into, not because they're weak, but because we're strong. I'd go completely the other way. It's not their weakness. I think it's our strength, and the unit that we've got and the pace that we've got. I mean, love Stuart Broad. He was great, but he wasn't a great bowler in Australia, nor was Jimmy. The guys that are going, I think, are made for Australian conditions. So Stokes, Woods, and Archer, those three, along with backup bowlers, probably Carson, Atkinson in the first test. I think that's probably the best bowling unit to win in Australia I've ever seen. Okay, we haven't got a spinner, but Graham Swan didn't get a lot of wickets in 10-11. He just bowled as part of a unit. And I think the unit that we're taking is the strongest unit we've ever had, with greatest respect to Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad. But over in Australia, I think it's our strength that's going to get us 1-0 up, not their weakness.
And from a Barmy Army point of view, have you got a favourite ground, a ground that has the best atmosphere?
Adelaide.
Which is the third test?
Yes.
And why Adelaide for the atmosphere?
Well, Adelaide, just because of the way it's shaped up, the grass bank. It's where he started for us. South Australia, there's a big British contingent there as well. The expats. It's just my favourite ground. I just love the grass bank. I love the fact that you can feel part of as opposed to sat on a plastic seat. There's just a real nice feel about Adelaide. It's just a beautiful ground. And it's my favourite part of Australia, South Australia.
And putting your crystal ball on, I think I know the answer to one of these questions, but could you give me your player of the series and a prediction for the Ashes?
We're going to win. Worst case will be 3-2. I think there'll be a result in every test, unless there's heavy rain in any of them. Obviously, I can't predict that. I'm not a weatherman. And Joe Root will be the player of the series. Joe will prove everybody wrong. I think there's been some pretty stupid comments from, there always is, to be fair. But the Aussies have started early this series trying to say that Joe Root isn't the superstar until he gets 100 in Australia. I think he'll get probably 300 or 400s and prove everybody wrong and be the player of the series. And let's be honest, although there are some great other batters, we still do rely on Joe a little bit. So Joe Root will have an amazing series, and that will pass its way around the team. And because of those runs, will mean that the rest that you need to win a test match will happen. So Joe Root, 100% player of the series, and we will win at least 3-2, maybe 3-1 if there's a draw, but a rained off fixture. But I can see us winning in Perth. I'm so confident about that first test match, and that's really going to put the Aussies under pressure. Hence, why couldn't you win that from there, 3-1, 3-2?
Well, I hope you're right, Paul. Good luck to the Barmy Army. I hope the Barmy Army can get us a few wickets in those late evening sessions when the bowlers are tired.
Yeah, definitely. No, they have done historically, and there's no reason why that won't continue, right? You get tired, whether it's 1994 or 2025, right? So I'm sure they will need our support, and we would certainly be very, very keen to give it to them. So I think everybody knows what's going to happen. The Barmy Army are going to turn up. The England boys are going to love it. We're going to get right behind them. The question marks are over the Australian team and the way that they support. I think we've got a massive advantage already before we even land on the shores.
Well, enjoy watching every ball on the television, and thank you very much for being on the Paddock and the Pavilion.
Pleasure. Thank you for your time.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu, is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.